committee members.
This meeting is being recorded.
One of our committee members, Ron Charles, will be joining us shortly. Had a prior work engagement and will be joining us momentarily. So if you wouldn't mind, Abdur, would you mind in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Everyone see it?
We can.
I pledge allegiance to the flag,
Of the
of
United States
of
of
America,
America and to
and to
the
the
republic
republic
for which it stands, one nation,
Nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Abdur. As it relates to roll call, I'm going to kind of go through the list. Myself, John Wayman Henry, as chair. We have Councilwoman Tammy Williams in attendance. We also have Ron Raymond, who is in attendance. We have Abdur Yassin, who is also in attendance. Our other committee member, Alfred Russell, believe had a personal matters, or he will be joining us later as well. So I wanted to make sure, and as I've stated earlier, Ron Charles had a previous engagement. So I want to call, as we call this meeting in order, I want to open up the committee if there's any new announcements that need to be made, or is there any particular announcements that you all want to add at this time? Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ron.
So new announcements, meaning anything that is a point of interest or a point of discussion?
Sure.
Okay, so over the past week, there's a local West Orange entrepreneur, proprietor of Forest City Brewery that has, for the lack of a better word, experienced some rather negative business partnership exit etiquette. Roger Appelon, and I'd like to, not necessarily as a point of collaboration or any emphasis, but just a point of discussion for our committee to consider entrepreneurs of that caliber, and how do we engage with them, and how do we keep that kind of spirit within the West Orange border. So just a point of discussion, just to put it out there for record.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm glad that you did mention that I think maybe 2 or 3 of us have been in conversation as it pertains to Roger. Roger was also very supportive at the Rock at the time of its opening. I know that they also had previous discussions and relationship with Turtleback Zoo as it pertained to brewing the zoo. Well, I wouldn't say unfortunate part. It would be good to maybe, Ron, to have you reach out to him, to have him reach out to myself or Councilwoman Williams to have a discussion. One is that his location was out of our jurisdiction. Even though he's a West Orange resident, he's a West Orange resident, correct?
Yes, he is.
Okay. So his current location is out of our jurisdiction. So it would, us have an initial conversation about if he wanted to relocate that business in West Orange, how we can be supportive to him in that regard. I think it was a very good business. I've taken several trips to that location and patronized it at the time that he had ownership there. So I think it would be a welcome business in West Orange, but I'm not sure of what the issue is and would he have to open up a different name and so forth. So it would be great to have maybe a conversation with him prior to.
Exactly. I'll take that on just as a follow-up and then re-engage with the with the committee on that.
Sure. Madam Councilwoman, would you want to add to that?
No, I think that's a wonderful idea. Thank you, Mr. Raymond, for bringing that to the commission's attention. Being a local resident, I was very aware of the challenges that they incurred when they were trying to find a West Orange location. It was very difficult, which is why they ended up landing in Orange. But if we can do anything to support our business and residents coming back to this area, I think that certainly speaks to what this commission is about.
Okay.
Okay, great. Is there any other announcements that anyone wants to make? Okay, seeing none, staying with the agenda, would like someone to the approval of minutes from our previous meeting.
We don't have the minutes, so we will approve the minutes at the next meeting of the commission. And if there's anyone with any inquiries or questions regarding the minutes, we do have the video up on the township website under the Economic Development tab. So if there's any information that you would like to have, certainly refer to the video until we can get those minutes approved.
Not a problem. Yeah. Remember, Yassine, will you have those minutes for us, and we'll get those minutes this week so that we can go through that process and have them approved, so that we can have a written portion of that.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. We'll have those minutes at the same time that we have these.
Yeah, not a problem.
They'll be prepared.
Okay. Unfinished business. Did we? I think there was some conversations, and I believe in which we were in some discussion. One of them, we were going through and I'll leave the unfinished business because it's part of our update as it relates to our new business. So some of our unfinished business is actually going to be reviewed in our new business, or some of the updates, which would be an update from the previous meeting. Is there any comments from anyone? Councilwoman Williams.
Fine, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so going on to new business, I'm going to defer to Councilwoman Williams as it pertains to the Juneteenth event being held at Rock Springs, so that we can number one, support that initiative, but have more information as it pertains to where we are with that project. So, Madam Councilwoman, if you wouldn't mind sharing that information.
Certainly. So I'm very happy to report and update the community that we will be holding a series of Juneteenth events this year, starting on the 16th of June at 5 p.m. at Town Hall with our flag raising, which will be hosted by the Human Relations Commission. That will include a DJ, food trucks, and vendors, and that'll be supported by the NAACP. And there will be a very brief speaking program. That will be followed on Friday by a golf tournament hosted in conjunction with Space to Create, a 501c3 community-based foundation locally from West Orange is the resident, Talia Young. And we will be hosting a golf tournament for diverse developers. In addition to the golf tournament, which is going to be from 9 to 5 or 9 to 3, we'll also be holding at 5 o'clock an open event to the public, free for your families, children to come out, have fun. And then we're going to culminate that evening with a celebration of fireworks. There's more information, and if you are interested in supporting and participating, registering for golf, there's a dedicated website, and it's www.junetee.com for registration for the golf tournament, as well as to support if you're interested in connecting with the other diverse developers in West Orange. The intent and goal behind this opportunity is so that we can create relationships with people and let them know what West Orange has to offer and bring those diverse relationships with developers.
Excellent. How are we?
That will also, on Saturday, we'll, go ahead.
No, go on. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say on Saturday, that will be followed with a art gallery showing at the art gallery here in West Orange with the Art Center. They'll be doing a tribute, followed by a filming at Luna Stage on Saturday evening. The film is still being confirmed. And then on Monday, we will have an introduction of all of our Black business owners, and we're strongly encouraging everyone to shop local and to shop and support our Black business owners on Monday, which is the actual state and federal holiday for Juneteenth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Not a problem at all. Are there any questions for Councilwoman Williams in regards to Juneteenth?
All those flyers are also on the township website. So if you just go onto the township website, as soon as you log on and the events and upcoming events scroll through, you'll see all the flyers for Juneteenth.
Okay. Is there any other assistance that's needed for this, Councilwoman? Like what would be the ask of additional?
We'll certainly need some volunteers to come out for the evening. So if there's anyone that would like to support our efforts and you're interested in volunteering, please, by all means, you can reach out to myself directly, anyone on the committee, and certainly communicate via the Juneteenth website. Just put in a message and we'll get that information as well.
Okay.
So I will make the announcement at our Downtown Alliance committees and just asking for general volunteers there as well.
Excellent, thank you.
And how are we and as it relates to financial support?
Relates to
have we reached out?
Sponsorships?
Yeah, yes.
Sponsorships are still, we will always appreciate sponsorships. So if there are any businesses who want to sponsor, certainly reach out. You can sponsor directly on the website and let us know. We're certainly encouraging people to come out and play golf for the event. So that will help support us as well. But if you're interested in sponsoring in your business, or just go straight to the website, all of the information is there.
Great.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just a question for Madam Councilwoman. I mean, I assume that you've been in touch with the municipal departments, particularly like public safety. Is there particular assistance that you need from like the Office of Emergency Management, like CERT, volunteers on specific days, to kind of be eyes and ears in the crowd and force multipliers for things?
We are meeting with Chief on Thursday at 4 p.m. to go over logistics. And so we're going to identify a logistics plan, and then we'll know what other additional support we'll need.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Sure. If you want to talk offline about that too, to patch me into that, I can connect you with the CERT director and we'll get that going.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Will do.
Certainly.
Any other questions in regards to Juneteenth? My comment is I'm excited about what Councilwoman Williams has done as pertains to that particular project, along with our local resident Talia Young. I've spoken to both, so we look forward to supporting that in any way that we can. So again, thank you for the update, Madam Councilwoman. Moving forward in Essex Green redevelopment updates, Councilwoman Williams, is there anything that you want, before I get to Ron Raymond as relates to downtown redevelopment, any updates in regards to that? I have maybe one, but other than that,
I do. As a matter of fact, I've been in constant communication with the spokesperson for the developers, and was just speaking to Mr. Abdur, and we were discussing that we should probably inquire and get a monthly update, or as often as we have meetings. You know, we don't meet monthly by ordinance. We meet 6 times a year. But just to update everyone, if you aren't aware, Starbucks has been opened. It's complete. It is open for business. It's the first Starbucks in West Orange. Essex Green has already done some property sign improvements for the main entrance to the center, and LED parking lot lighting conversion is 75% complete throughout the property. We also know that Five Guys Burgers and Fries opened in mid-April. And then we also know that Primo Hoagies is going right beside them. They should be open in the early summer. Building B, where there's the Panera Bread through Macy's Backstage, they're putting up a new facade, and new tenant storefront renovation is progressing very well. That should be also completed by the summer of 2022. Burlington construction has also been progressing well. The tenant plans to open in 2022, but we do not have a specific date as yet. They'll be welcoming 2 beehives to a private and secluded area of the property in the spring. The beehives are part of a sustainability initiative to help reinforce honeybee populations in the local area and to help pollinate the neighborhood flora. There are tenant and customer facing projects. The center has also been undergoing substantial infrastructure upgrades, such as major electrical system improvements, repairs, and improvements to the loading dock, and various other smaller modernization to help the center better accommodate tenants and residents. And then they've identified some things to come. Ownership is currently in active discussions with more than a half dozen potential new tenants with varying uses, products, and services. Electric charging vehicle stations are currently being evaluated. The current tenants are planning their own in-store renovations and upgrades, and additional improvements to property signage, paving, landscaping, and outdoor seating are also planned for the immediate future. So this information was very much appreciated, so that we can keep the community informed about what is coming at Essex Green. So we appreciate their management and their strategic team for sharing that information with us.
Excellent. Is there any questions in regards to Essex Green redevelopment? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on. I'm going to defer to Ron Raymond as it relates to downtown redevelopment updates. Ron?
So as far as the immediate access of information to what we know from the Downtown Alliance, we have the BK Lobster, who is coming tenant for the Prism Edison Muse space. They have also indicated that their, I guess, occupancy is pretty much at full occupancy for the residential, and then they have another tenant that they're expecting on the retail side. They haven't given us that information yet. The Sherwin-Williams Dollar General store, I believe that is proceeding, no significant change from our last meeting. And on another note, so there's a call, for my contacts with the family that has the Rite Aid store and the strip of properties that incorporates the U.S. Postal Service and Benji's Taqueria, as well as La Cocina. I have a follow-up call with them to just get an update as to what are their plans for either tenants or, as we've discussed with them, their development ideas. I've also been on calls, just participating as a listener for the Glenn Weber, I believe it's the Macintosh building is how it's called. The name is still on there, where Glenn Weber's studio is, with that developer looking to change that into a sort of like a usable apartment space and retail on the bottom. specific discussions that were happening right now with the town around the parking requirements and what concessions that are made. Again, nothing has been finalized, but those are ongoing discussions, both with the police department, as well as the council. Councilwoman Castellino has been on those calls and kind of orchestrating that discussion. And that's pretty much all the updates that I have within the purview of the Downtown Alliance, Mr. Our Chairman.
Thank you so much, Ron. Are there any questions as it pertains to downtown redevelopment updates? I have one comment, Ron, and this pertains to the auto body that is basically looking like it's doing some particular renovations.
The future auto body.
Yes. Is there any update or understanding of what that is from either zoning or planning? Because I wasn't aware, but I know that there's some environmental issues that has come to us from the owner of the CVS, that particular property. So I'm curious as to know, is there any update as knowing as to what that actually is going to be or what it is?
No, and we have, as the Downtown Alliance, stated our concern about the progress that we're seeing and the lack of communication to the Downtown Alliance, understanding what are the actual design drawings that were submitted, what has been approved by the town and zoning, because we have, very specific requirements for building facade and understanding what the use case is with the signage as we try to improve the aesthetics of the corridor. And we haven't received that. And again, it's been an ongoing discussion point of objection from us to understand exactly what has been approved and what is the intent of this space.
Councilwoman Williams, you from the agenda, from my understanding, there wasn't anything that was asked for additional or a different type of use, was it?
Not to my knowledge, but I have not been engaged with any of the zoning meetings of late. So
Okay.
before putting anything on the record, I would like, just to check and confirm.
Sure.
And then unfortunately, our zoning official wasn't able to join us or has not been able to join us, but we can certainly follow up and reach out directly to her.
Okay. Would you mind doing
And
that?
see if we can get an update as well. And Mr. Raymond, I'll make sure we make that connection and connect those dots. No, not at all. Absolutely. I'll be happy to.
Okay. Yeah, we need to be very deliberate on what that is, because there's some environmental things that are transpiring there that we need to be aware of. So before
so there's always been some concern about the existing or past use for that space and the environmental constraints that prevented any new occupants from proceeding without mitigating what the concerns were. So certainly we would be interested in understanding how has that concern or issue been resolved and how are they moving forward with their renovation. So it looks like a renovation of the space, and what is that actual end use? Meaning, are they, partitioning the retail spaces into separate occupants, or is it one occupant? We would just like some clarity on that.
Okay.
Certainly.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Ron, for that. Next would be the storage facility off of Eagle Rock Avenue that went before council and I believe zoning and permitting.
Zoning board. It went before the zoning board for approval.
Yes, it went before the zoning board for approval. So I'll defer to Councilwoman Williams as it relates
So
to
at the
that.
last zoning, I know it sounds. I apologize. It sounds like I might have a little bit of an echo. So if I sound muffled, please just let me know. But
Okay.
to my knowledge, that we did get minutes on that I did have an opportunity to review. And then of course, there was a lot of community concern about a storage facility at that location that was not approved by our zoning board. So we do not know what will be there. Certainly there is its current permitted use, but we may look to do something completely different with that space. I mean, it's up to, at this point, if ownership went back to the seller, we can certainly look to have some of those discussions.
Okay, great. Any questions as it pertains to that?
So
What's it?
I have a
Go
question.
ahead, Ron.
What engagement or what participatory actions was the town involved in putting forth ideas as to what that space should look like? Was there even that discussion?
This was a private owner and private sale that had to go before the zoning board for approval.
I see. Okay. So now that it's
Now is an opportunity again. Now is an opportunity. I was going to say that now is an opportunity. I'm not certain the status of that being a redevelopment zone. And certainly that is one of the strategies where we can have a little bit more of a voice as a municipality, but I'm not certain that has been designated for that area yet, which is why it was a private sale and then went before the zoning board.
Ron, just to give you an idea, my intention of talking to the council and the mayor is to keep it in some type of recreational entertainment space, given its proximity to Cable Lake. Not to say that it's opposed of some type of mixed use, but if it's mixed use, that it needs to include entertainment. You're starting to have areas in which you're having density with residential with no activity. And so we need to have some type of plan or concentration as it pertains to what are our recreational things, in which when you have in a township that are paying taxes, what activities are we giving the township and town people who are paying taxes, and some of the taxes are high. So we need to really start looking at what our entertainment spaces look like besides just parks.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I think it makes sense because of the proximity to OSPAC, and you have a water feature there, and you can kind of extend that mixed use entertainment space as you're referring to. It would behoove the town to really put their best effort to making some kind of development plan that includes that thought process.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm just kind of adding my 2 cents as to what my thought process is as it relates to that space.
And Mr. Chairman, let's not forget that, right there at Kmart Plaza, we have Target coming in there. So, that whole Eagle Rock and Prospect intersection, outlying areas around it, that could certainly turn into something, really nice in terms of an entertainment, bringing back an entertainment center, with Eagle Rock Lanes being there previously.
Correct.
Yeah, not to mention that across the street, you have a very walkable and very highly used hiking trail there as well.
And let's not forget Chit Chat Diner.
Oh yeah.
That's
Well, my guy Gus. Yeah, I don't want to mention Gus, but yeah, Gus is getting all the business. Yes, we can. Gus would love something like that, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So as we move forward, I want to talk a little bit about the Realtor open house project that was an idea that was spurred by Councilwoman Williams, that I thought was a remarkable idea, given that the townships, the actual movement of the township is changing, and the profile of the township and the structure of the township is somewhat changing. as it relates to it becoming somewhat more developed and providing more services for for its residents. And so I'm going to defer to Councilwoman Williams so that she can have more of a conversation as it pertains to the Realtor open house that she's putting together.
Certainly. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. So the Realtor Open House is not a new concept here in West Orange. It's something that we had done in the past with the Public Relations Commission, the Downtown West Orange Alliance, and then the other departments that exist throughout the town. The Board of Ed was included, Parks and Recreation. So that concept was something I wanted to rebirth, considering from a real estate perspective, which is my profession, that I am aware that West Orange has changed tremendously. Prior to the pandemic, we were changing, and throughout the pandemic, West Orange has changed. South Orange, Maplewood, Montclair, other towns that have trade and commerce opportunities that we may not have here. Just wanted to make sure our real estate community was well versed on the changes that have occurred and up to date on the things that are coming soon. So we wanted to host that, welcome realtors here, identified a couple of locations, certainly wanted to bring them in. In the past, these events had been held for the residential realtors at Liberty Middle School, and the Board of Ed had a very strong participation. Basically, I wanted to invite them to all of West Orange. So all of our departments that impact West Orange and livability in West Orange would have a presence, not solely the schools. And in doing that, wanted to pull it away from having it at a school and give the realtors the purview of Edison Lofts from the rooftop. I think that's a purview where when you come in, especially me, again, I sell West Orange. So when I've come in and had an opportunity to see all of West Orange from that purview, it's exciting. And so we wanted to bring that community in, showcase what West Orange is and is becoming, and educate that community who actually goes out and you know, West Orange. We ran into a few challenges with the date quickly approaching, but we want to revisit that, reschedule that. It was my opinion that we needed to do it sooner than later. We didn't want to wait until the summer. People go into vacations, and people really right now are selling West Orange. We were right in the middle of the spring market, and people just need to understand and know, if you're coming to sell our community, we want you to be top of mind and have all the current information about what West Orange has to offer. So we're going to look to set a new date. We can certainly have that discussion here. All of the departments that were on board for the most part, but like I said, there were a few hiccups and challenges. But I think in the past, when we used to do these type of activities, again, a lot of the burden or weight and responsibility fell on the Public Relations Commission. But we did not have an Economic Development Commission at that time. And now I see that as being a collaborative joint venture, and hopefully we can make that happen. Thank
Excellent.
you.
No, by all means, thank you for the update. So,
And just so I can state for the record that the email that Councilwoman Williams sent out presented itself as that. However, there was quite a bit of, and the lack of a better word, pushback into ownership of this activity. Certainly for me, as the reactions that I saw to that compelled me at the time of our last Downtown Alliance meeting as a chairman's statement to reiterate the need to have a more collaborative effort and less of an ownership stake on activities like this. And as Abdur, who sits on that commission, can attest to, that was my message before we convened our meeting, because there were some emails that came back and forth and certain phone calls that kind of left me kind of not really understanding why there's not more of a collaborative effort for activities like this and less of a need to just place an ownership stake into the idea of building West Orange, championing its diversity, and pulling forth more inclusive discussion for new residents. So I commend Councilwoman Williams and, stating that, pushing for that. And not only that, but pivoting to listen to the concerns of her colleagues, members of the PRC, and making an activity like this an inclusive activity and not one that should be heralded to a select few.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I'd like to
absolutely.
add to that. I'd like to add to that as well. And I want to echo Chairman Raymond's comments about this. Look, if you're selling West Orange, you want to sell it in so many different ways. And I think collaboration is the key there. So if it means having another event or having multiple events around, what's going on in West Orange, I think that's really helpful. So ownership over, one particular event to me is kind of like a step in the wrong direction. I did speak to Councilwoman Williams previously, and just the notion of real estate and having an event like this, for example, in the Edison Lofts, and Chairman Raymond can speak to this. We had a downtown alliance meeting at the Edison Lofts up there at the rooftop there, and it just changes the whole vibe, right? It's one thing to have it at town hall in the small room space versus this is kind of where the action is, right? This is what's going on. We're creating a downtown space, and we're trying to infuse businesses and attract entrepreneurs, folks to buy our housing stock and so on. And you want to just show them, the best and better parts of what's on in town. So I commend Councilwoman Williams for her work on this. And again, it's not about, leaving folks out or taking ownership over an event. I think there needs to be a series of events, just like what was said earlier. You have the PRC that should be promoting that. You have other bodies, right? But the Economic Development Commission was just revived. So it should have a stake in that as well. So again, let's all just work together here. We can all feel about the different things that we're involved in or different groups that we're a part of. But at the end of the day, I think more is better than less when it comes to economic, boosting the economics here in town and selling. And I don't have a real estate background, so I will certainly defer to our to our colleague here because she does this for a living. She sells the town very well. She's award-winning. So, if she's putting it together, I'm like, look, I'm there. So again, let's keep working at this. Hopefully, Councilwoman Williams will give us a date for the next event or tentative date. And again, I think more is better than less, right? So thank you.
I'll just add this and then I'll leave it. Councilwoman Williams, in the future, if given that I've been in development for a large part of my career, given what has transpired in this township and what is happening in this township, if there's a conversation and it's something that we need to do under economic development, please just speak to me about it, and we'll make it happen. It's not that hard, or it's not that difficult. If there's, and as it relates to, it seems like you've gotten all the support that was necessary. If one or two people are not particularly in support, we'll just do it under economic development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your support.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, great. As it relates to moving forward, cannabis updates. Won't spend too much time. The actual good news is that the Cannabis Task Force sent the other two recommendations to council. The council has written the other two resolutions that will go to the state. Given that Councilwoman Williams is on, of course, on City Council, she can probably speak to that even more if she would like. But as the task force, as the Cannabis Commission, those two entities were brought before us. We then recommended them to council and they were approved. Um, Council President Susan McCartney signed off on those resolutions. So those resolutions should be going to the state this week. Is there anybody, Councilwoman Williams, would you like to add to that?
The only thing I would certainly add is that those were two micro businesses. So micro businesses are minority, veteran, or what's the terminology, the correct terminology? Someone who has a
Or
record,
women-owned, right,
women-owned,
or
minority-owned, and
yeah.
someone who may have a prior record. So we
Correct.
do
Social equity.
social equity. Yes, thank you. And
No problem.
so one of the licensees that we provided a letter of support was Black-owned, minority-owned, and a local resident here in West Orange. And the other was a group.
Great. Is there any questions,
That's all I have.
comments?
No
Okay.
questions here.
Okay. And our last, part of our last, as it relates to new business, is around town. So this is kind of open forum. Is there anything or any comments that people would like to make as it pertains to kind of around West Orange in our particular positionings in West Orange as either as individuals or our professions, or actually sending as on boards or committees here in town? Is there any other comments that anybody wants to make?
None from me at the moment.
I don't have
Doris?
anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think we've covered a lot here. So, and this is certainly all aspects of the town.
I think we covered everything here, and we didn't
Yeah.
need like 9 hours. No, let me stop.
Well, actually,
We got a lot of information
have-
out too.
I have one question.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
One question.
I don't know.
So,
No
I
one
know
cares.
we
I
were-
was poking fun at Councilwoman. I'm sorry.
We were talking about the Essex Green
Don't
development,
tease me.
but there's also the other development that's happening within Rooney Circle. Is there been any development news or any updates there?
Certainly don't have any updates to provide on an official capacity. Certainly, I live right underneath that area and I drive by 280 like most of us do who reside here in West Orange. So we see that the buildings have been completely leveled. They're doing some infrastructure work right now. So that's why the highway has been blocked off 280 right around that route, because they were doing some infrastructure work. But I'll have an additional update on that when we come back as well.
Okay, yeah, that would be greatly appreciated.
Certainly.
Good question. Appreciate that, Ron. Since you have access, Councilwoman Williams, is there any public comment or anyone on that we should definitely be talking to, so that we can get any?
It is just us on the call, so that we don't have to. There's no one who actually chimed in today for to observe or participate. So it's just us. Mr. Raymond has his hand up.
Yeah, and just one final closing comment. So as an economic development team, I think it would behoove us to add a line item for ongoing conversations on infrastructure improvements within the West Orange area. Whether infrastructure, again, can mean many things. It could be broadband, it could be roads, it could be, and I know within local roads versus county roads, municipalities, it could be, sidewalks, it could be improvements of pedestrian movements around town, because I think that's one of the glaring omissions that we lack in West Orange, that kind of gives us that edge when you look at other towns, the way that their citizens can easily, without the use of their vehicle, move around and get from place to place, which kind of, again, helps foster business development. And as we have a liaison, with Congress, we have folks that we can, start thinking about outside the box of ideas when it comes to infrastructure. And I think that should be an ongoing conversation with this team.
We can certainly add that to, as a staple on the agenda.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. I agree. We've been having, just to add to that, we've been having that conversation with the congressman's office. We'll probably have more of that dialogue with him outside of probably June when the congressman's race is over. But we have started the initial conversations as it pertains to infrastructure, and ideally where that infrastructure would start. So I'd be happy to share that with you as well offline, but when something more formative comes,
Yeah, exactly.
I'll definitely share it here at our economic development meeting. But we have started having some of those discussions as to what they are. Also, as you know, and to your point, broadband and some of the other things that are in our control that we have access to, or some assets in which the town owns that we can have that discussion, is one thing. We don't own our roads here in West Orange, the county does.
Right.
So between the roads and between, some of the things in which Congress would have to have, it would be great, to your point, to have the committee have some of these ideas and suggestions, and then that could be then passed on to council so that they can then bring it
Exactly.
up, so that they can go ahead and get some movement on that as it pertains
And to
to.
your point, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure. By all means.
So I was going to say, to your point, Mr. Chairman, that speaks to, and in West Orange, we do have the unique presence of a tremendous amount of county roads, and as well as our own municipal roads. However, that speaks to making sure we solidify and have a strong connection with our county government, so that in those spaces, there won't be any hiccups or disconnects, and it'll just be a fluid movement when we look to do those infrastructure changes and updates.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I have no
So-
further comments. Thank you.
Okay, well, is there any unreadiness? Is there any
I think
other
we can call this meeting to be adjourned.
Second.
Does anybody want to second? I mean, that was kind of quick, Madam Councilwoman, but that's great. No, I didn't. I appreciate you all, as usual. Thank you for taking the time and helping with the commission and making sure that we are continually to move West Orange forward. So I really appreciate you all and the time that you all take every day in order to make sure that we're progressing fully. So thanks again. And if anybody else by any means had any questions, please feel free to contact me.
Will do.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks.